Okay, the most important things you're going to need first are gloves, and next is a dust mask. The surfactant or the cleanser that you put in here, the dust does poof up and it's not good to breathe in. Once it's wet, you can remove the mask if you'd like, but you definitely want to put one of these on. First, you're going to need a good scale. Now I started, where's my old one at? I started off with just a cheap digital scale from Amazon, but it's no longer, it's too small for some of the things I do because I'm making much bigger batches now. I've got a bigger, nicer one now from Save on Citric that I use. And you're going to need a double boiler system. So I have a slightly larger pot already on the stove with water getting warm. But we're going to start with our pot. It's a clean, sanitized pot. We've used a 5% bleach solution to clean all of our equipment today. And we're going to start with 10.3 ounces of water. And it does have to be distilled. You cannot use tap water. There's many reasons why, but one is the contaminants. Two, a lot of minerals and other things in your water doesn't necessarily react well with other ingredients. And especially if you're going to sell it, you cannot put city water in there or tap water. You need distilled water. The next ingredient we're going to put in here, we're going to do our liquid ingredients first. So we're going to use 11.8 ounces of glycerin. I get my glycerin from Soper's Choice. And this is a vegan recipe, so everything is vegetable based. So we're going to tare our scale and put 11.8 ounces of glycerin in here. And when you first get started, you might want to measure into separate containers and put it in your pot because it's really easy to go over. Almost there. There we go. Okay, and the next ingredient we need is cocoa betaine. And I got this from Chemistry Connection, also known as Save on Citric. And we want 10.3 ounces of this as well. Okay. The next item we want to add is stearic acid. Stearic acid I have purchased from Save on Citric. I've also gotten it from Soper's Choice. So we want 2.6 ounces of this. And I put my stearic acid in there because it does take a little bit longer to dissolve. So it just gets it into the liquid base. 2.6 ounces. Okay, the next thing we want to add, and this is why we're wearing the dust mask, is, if the camera will focus, sodium cocoa isothianate. And we need 16 ounces of that. So we'll tare our scale. And this is why we weigh everything, because liquid, a cup is 8 ounces, but I just put that first cup in there and it was only 6. So it's very important to do this all by weight. Even with the mask, this stuff gets to me. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but it does like smoke up or poof up. Okay, so you want to take this off the scale. Turn the scale off, move it aside. And you just want to stir this up with the whisk to incorporate it. You don't need to worry too much about blending it, but you just want to get all those dry ingredients wet once so it stops puffing up and you can take your mask off. And two, just because, you know, you want this to become kind of homogeneous, because it does help it, you know, heat up more evenly. So we're going to put this on the stove. I'll take you over there in a minute, but you do need to leave this on your double boiler for 20 to 30 minutes. You want to make sure that everything is dissolved, and I'll show you through the process how you can tell. I don't have any fancy equipment. All I have is a larger pot with a smaller pot in it. There's some water down in there. And as I said, you want to, this has to cook about 20 to 30 minutes. Longer if you do bigger batches. But we will continue to whisk every 5 minutes or so until, you know, when you stir it up, you can see clear through the bottom and there's no chunks left. You want to cover this up with the lid so that you don't lose any moisture. And we will come back and check on it in a few. So this has been going for about 5 minutes, and I know it's not going to be anywhere close to ready yet, but I wanted to show you, you know, as you stir it, you can see, you know, it's liquidy, but there's still a lot of chunks in there. It's white. You don't get any clear spots at all. So this is nowhere near ready. Okay, we've been going for about 15 minutes. We're going to give this another stir. You might be able to see we're starting to get some opaque areas in there. Those are the areas that were warm at the bottom of the pot, but we still have chunks. So like I said, this needs to go for about a half an hour. And you do want to stir every 5 to 10 minutes just to keep incorporating and moving the warmer ingredients around. Okay, so when you stir it, I hope this is showing up on camera, you can see, of course you're going to get a little bit of foam on top because this is a soap, but it's looking more opaque. I don't see any chunks in there. Everything looks pretty dissolved and homogeneous. And you really have to stir this up. Now you can, with your gloved finger, take a bit of it and see if you feel any grit or any chunks of anything, but I'm going to warn you that this is very hot. Okay, so I have, let me get the soap off my finger, a temperature gun here. I got this off Amazon for like 25 bucks. It is currently 174 degrees, so when I say it's hot, I mean it's hot. And the neoprene gloves will protect it to some extent, but it's still 174 degrees. So I'm going to take you over to the other side of my shop here where we're going to blend this up. Oh, alright, so I'm scraping down the sides here just to make sure I get it all in the pot. And now you can kind of see where some of that is clear as you stir it up. Now we're going to take an immersion blender, also known as a stick blender. And we're going to blend this up for about 2 to 3 minutes in short bursts. Okay, I have a ½ ounce of liquid Germall Plus in here, but I can't put it in here until this is about 160. Now it's 146. So the big difference from where we were at while we were still on the stove. It cools down relatively quickly. So I'm going to add this in here and continue to emulsify. Okay, once you are happy that it is all emulsified and combined, just going to clean off our stick blender. And you want to put this into an airtight container, but you don't want to put the lid on until it's completely cooled down. Now this is the bucket I just scraped out of to show you the next step here, but a bucket like this works good. You can get them at the dollar store. This is something that when I started, I got oils in, but I get, 50-pound buckets now. But you just want to put this in an airtight container. After it cools, cap it off, and it'll be ready to use the following day after it's completely set up and cooled. Okay, this is whip soap that I had made yesterday, and you can see the texture is a little bit like shortening, like Crisco. So I have 27 ounces of that. Clean these fingers off now. And I'm going to add an ounce of oils. You can add any oils that you like. The first thing I'm going to do is stick this in my mixer and just whip it up just a little bit just to break it loose. Okay, so as you can see, it isn't whipped up yet like a whip soap. I just broke it loose just a little bit, like 10 seconds in my mixer. And now I'm going to add an ounce of oils. You can use any oil that you want for the purposes that you want, but I'm going to add grapeseed and jojoba oil. But you only want an ounce total. Any more than that and your whip soap tends not to hold up. Okay. Next thing I'm going to add is my fragrance oil. To this, I'm going to add Cinnabon from Nature's Garden. An ounce and a half. Again, everything is on the scale. We don't do anything by volume. Perfect. Now I want to color this, adding something like a brown. You'd have to add quite a lot to make this look, cinnamony. So I'm going to actually add a little bit of gold mica just to give it some sparkle. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm backwards here. Shimmer Gold Mica from Nurture. I'm not going to add a ton of this. I'm only going to add a teaspoon because I'm not really trying to color it as much as just add a little bit of sparkle to it. Now I'm just going to whip this up. I'm not going to take you over to show you the whipping process because that'd be a little bit boring. But I'm going to stick this in my mixer, mix it for a minute, scrape down the sides to make sure everything's incorporated, and whip it up till it's about twice the size. This fragrance really does smell divine. It smells exactly like a Cinnabon. But we're just going to take our piping bag. I like to use a measuring cup because it just keeps it standing upright. Let's see if I can get that in camera. I have not opened the bit or trimmed the end of it off yet. I am simply going to take some of my whip soap, put it in the bag. I don't want to overfill the bag because I don't want it squishing out the bottom. Cut the bottom off like that. Squeeze it to the end. Then I'm going to put a dollop in the middle and just go around, make sure I get the bottom filled in. And then with my tip stuck in my soap, I'm going to squeeze and pull up. And there is your jar of whip soap.